I have so many stories of combat and things like this, but at the end of the day, I know there's thousands of guys like me. That have stories like this. And there's almost like a stigma that you can't talk about stuff like this. And I want to try through this to try to break that down a little bit, because guys are dying, and not in combat. We're coming back, and guys I know personally coming back and killing themselves because I believe they're not talking. They're not letting people know that they're in pain because they think they need to bury that down, which I understand. That's taught in the... It's I don't know how to... You don't talk about these things in the Marines. You bury it down and you stay combat ready. I want to try somehow... Keep in mind, this isn't easy. I don't talk about this shit. I can't... I hope that these stories that I'm telling you guys like it, but you got to understand how hard it is for us to talk about this stuff. This shit's real. Guys that we train every day with, that they're dying. We are over there protecting our country's freedoms, and we're coming home and we're not adapting to civilian life. And there's got to be something I can do, we can do, to try to normalize talking about mental health. And I hope that I hope this is the start of something. And yeah, period. I hope that I can help guys like me adapt to civilian life and talk about the shit that's haunting them. There it is.
How's it been for you since you got back?
Not easy. I have not been able to adapt to civilian life. I have significant PTSD symptoms. And they're starting to scare me. One thing the Marine Corps doesn't do is train you about these things, I believe. Because when I got back, I didn't understand what was going on with my body. I didn't understand anxiety. I thought that was weakness. I thought, as I said before, I can bury this down with drinking and pills, and I can remain combat ready. And that was not the case. I now sleep maybe 2 hours a night. I can't go anywhere without some kind of weapon. I constantly feel like I'm going to be attacked. It's embarrassing. I feel like I used to be a pillar of strength, and not just physical, mental strength. There's physical strength is one thing. Mental strength is a whole another ball game, and I believe I need help, and I'm trying to get that through the VA, but not to their fault, or they are falling short. And it's not because of lack of trying. I don't believe they understand it completely. I don't believe they have the right people in places to talk about these things. To give you an example, and this therapist wasn't part of the VA, but I was going through some shit when I got out, and my dad pretty much said, go talk to a therapist. So I did. I put it all out there to them, and I'm 100% certain I scared the shit out of them. But I told them a brief story about, I think, a combat experience and one of my friends dying, and they compared it to their grandmother passing away. Yes, that's sad, and I can appreciate a family member passing away, but it doesn't come close to the things that we're talking about. And you need to understand that as a therapist. The people, and this is just what I believe, the people that need to be in the positions of talking to guys like me need to have gone through it. They need to understand this thing, this PTSD thing, the TBI, they need to understand this from a first person point of view, a first person's perspective. They need to have done it. That's the only way you can understand things like this. Period. Guys like me can smell when you're talking about it and you haven't done it. We briefly talked about stolen valor and guys talking about things they didn't do. If you've done this shit, there's certain keywords and certain jargon and phrases you pick up on, and you can just tell when someone's just taking a story that they heard online or from a video game, or someone close to them went through it, so they told it. We know. You're not slick. You know what I mean? And to me, that's disgusting. That's why, to me, unfortunately, I've had to do these programs, these VA programs, these therapy programs. And when you do enough of them, it becomes clear they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Not that I do, but what they're doing isn't helping. And it's because they don't fully understand it. I don't even know where to start with this, but to help these people, you need to understand this fully. That's the first thing we need to institute. Put guys like me, or maybe not even like me, guys that have somewhat been through these instances, been through combat, in positions to help other people that are suffering. That needs to happen. Otherwise, we won't take it seriously. And a lot of these programs that I've been in, guys are just going in there that are actually have psychiatric problems. They're not combat related. They need to institute something that separates people that just have issues from other things, and then guys that have been in combat and it's affecting their lives, because it's making the caregivers not understand the difference between the two. And I know I've said it, but we can. And when you're going through a program and there's guys in there that are milking the system, or in there and they haven't actually been in combat, do you think I want to tell my story now, or talk about the things I went through, when there's guys that you're telling the same shit you're telling me? I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but I'm trying to articulate what I'm talking about, and it's difficult. Keep in mind, I have serious TBI, and sometimes I can't put what's in my brain out of my mouth.
You've been back how long?
Got out in 14, so 6-7 years.
And how has this impacted the relationships in your life?
Significantly, towards the negative side. It's wearing my family thin. No one in my family has ever been in combat or been in the military, or they don't really understand it. And I can't blame them for that. But they see me suffering and they don't know how to help.
Are you a different person now?
Completely. I used to be outgoing. I have a positive outlook on life. I'm an introvert now. I don't leave my house, my apartment. I hate people. And maybe that's me just being overly negative. But I can't hold down a job. And it's not because I'm not a hard worker or I'm not skilled in some profession. One of the things is I can't sleep. It's very hard for me to get to work at 4:30, 5:30 when I've slept an hour, 2 hours. Or I have trouble with authority now. I could have a list for you why I can't. My body's starting to fail me as well. And I've always been a big gym guy. And when your body starts to fail you, it's scary. When you depend on your physical attributes and they start breaking down, it's scary. Every job that I've ever had has been physical in some degree. I need to somehow start using this. And I haven't been able yet. Hopefully, this is the start of something that I can build and grow and turn into something successful by helping guys like me. And I did it. I had a very good friend of mine go through the same exact thing that I went through. And I helped him. I talked with him through things. I got him in the military. I helped him. And that showed me that I can do this. I can understand veteran struggles, and I can help people like me. And I know that's vague, and I don't really know where to start with this, but I know, as I said before, the stolen valor thing. If guys are faking this and trying to be like people like me, I know I have something. I know things that I've done are unique. And I need to somehow build on that and use it to my advantage. But the first thing we need to do is address these mental health issues. And we're not. We're not being completely open about them, really. Or that's just from my point of view what I think. But hopefully that'll change.
What's your view on war in general now?
I'm disgusted about the way we got out of Afghanistan. It's almost like everything we did was for nothing. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way. But the Taliban's back in control. So what exactly did we accomplish over there? I couldn't tell you. But war is necessary. You just need good leaders. And unfortunately, we have fell short on that. That's all I'll really say on that. But
Do you regret enlisting?
no. No. No, I don't really regret much. I did what I did for the Marine to the right and left of me. We didn't do it for some politician or... When the shit hits the fan, you want to bring your brothers home. You're just thinking about home, getting back. I'm kind of glad that I did that. I feel like I'm a part of history now. I just hope that it wasn't for nothing. And I hope that we can help the guys that actually did things over there. That's it. That's all it comes down to. But
What's the most important lesson you've learned after all of this? How old are you now?
32.
32. What's the most important thing you've learned?
That's a tough one. I'd say realize you only have one life. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Tell them, don't hold grudges. Tell them you love them now. 'Cause I've seen death. And you know the scariest thing is it looks like nothing. I went over there religious and now I'm not. It's not anyone's fault, but when you're around that element enough, you start realizing what it really is. And
You find yourself not being able to believe there's a God and all that
Of course.
after seeing all that.
Of course. How could there be? I'm by no means am I knocking anyone that does. I've seen that help a lot of people. I just personally, I fucking hope there is. But unfortunately, right now in my life, I don't believe that, unfortunately.
Do you feel like being a Marine made you a better man?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's made me better at reading people. I feel like I've been in front of hundreds of different people. After I took a round to the dome, I actually,
You got hit in the head.
yeah, I was trained in something called bat and hides. And basically that was the system we were using at the time to log the Taliban. You scan someone's retina, you type their name in, where they're from, any identifying body marks. Let me say they're missing a finger, a tattoo, you log it into that, and you have to talk to them through an interpreter. And I can't tell you how many Taliban guys I've talked to through an interpreter, but when they saw I could understand their language and talk their language, it broke them down completely. It's almost like they respected me somewhat, that I took the time to learn, hey, and how are you, and where are you from, in their language. And it went a long way for me. I learned some things that I wasn't expecting to hear from these guys, and some things they told me actually rattled me. Like, these dudes actually, like, you got to understand the type of person these guys are. The way these guys live is astounding, because they are in a desert. They have zero money, and they are choosing to bang it out with the American military. That's a certain type of individual. They literally believe they're going to heaven with 72 virgins. Or something to that accord. Because the things that they do, that they are willing, the lengths that they're willing to go, they got to believe something like that. Because it takes a certain type of individual to strap ordnance to their body, C4 or some form of explosive, and fucking get on a bike and drive into a fucking up armored vehicle. You got to be a certain caliber of person, I tell you. Like,
You saw that happen?
oh yeah, multiple times.
Suicide run.
Yeah. So, when you're a low rank, and I think at the time I was a Lance Corporal, which is the third rank in the Marines. When a suicide bomb happens or something like that, you got to bag and tag the evidence. So you got to go pick up the pieces. So I would pick up faces, legs, and we would have to ID them. We'd have to bring them back to a base camp and try to ID the DNA, or get an eyeball and try to do a retina scan. That'll put hair on your chest real quick.
How does that affect you emotionally?
That goes into the whole believing in God thing. Like, I don't know. I just...
You got to turn off emotionally, I would think.
Absolutely, 100%. There's no room for emotion. That's one thing over there. I don't think there's no God in Afghanistan. Picking up pieces of human beings, whether they're Afghan, American, or what, I don't think that's something that should happen. But it does. I've done it.
So what's it like for the Afghans? You've been there. What's it like for the natives?
Not good.
What's it like to be an Afghan?
I unfortunately got a first-hand view of a Afghan child growing up around a group of men, and they're referred to as chai boys because that's all they do is bring tea to them all day. But what isn't shown, so unfortunately, or at least the area that I was in, all Afghan males are gay. They, listen, I don't know about other areas, but in Helmand province, they strictly look at women for procreation. And they fuck each other.
The men do.
The men do, yes. And they literally walk around holding hands. And unfortunately, as a young, I think there was probably 30 Afghans with me. And there was maybe 2 or 3 kids. And they would literally pass them around and gang rape them. That's what you have to look forward to as an Afghan boy. Bringing tea. And, I think it was Christmas. They had a little party for us. And they played their music, brought us food, and they really showed us what their culture was about. They're dancing with each other, belly dancing, and there's just a bunch of straight machine gunner killer Marines in the corner looking around like, where the fuck did I park my car? Like, what the fuck is this?
This is men and women, Afghan?
Only men. Women don't come out. Women stay in the house.
The men are belly dancing.
Oh, yeah. It was very shocking to be around. And I, unfortunately, walked in on a child being fucked. And I had to be held back and explained, this is their culture, bro. Unfortunately, we gotta let them rock. And that was just so absurd to me. Like, a child is, to me, the lowest, the most innocent thing that we have as human beings as a child. And to do that is just absolutely the lowest form of filth that slithers around this fucking earth. And I believe they all deserve a bullet in the fucking head. Period. And that was really, that turned me off of them for sure. Because being around that all the time, it gets like it's just too much. And I had no idea that was their culture. And I'm not saying this because I'm hating on them or I don't like them. I saw it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So imagine there's a draft in 2022, and all this new generation of men that are males, who are using nail polish, and they're
Males?
wearing women's clothes, and they're worried about their social media and stuff like this. Have to go. They put a rifle in their hands and they have to go off to Russia, or anything's possible now. China.
Before I go off on this, I have gay friends. I'm not a hater. I'm not homophobic. That's their choice. Go for it. I don't see the men of today. I don't see them on a rifle range, that's for damn sure. Then again, a lot of these kids I feel like they're really just trying to create chaos through what they're doing with their looks. I feel like a lot of them, that's all they want to do is just post a weird picture on Instagram and get a bunch of people going back and forth. It's a troll. It's, which is retarded. Like, why? But putting them in a combat situation, there's no Instagram there.
I mean, you're a special breed, but I can't imagine a lot of this new generation going through anything close to what you went through.
It wouldn't happen. They'd be killed. They'd be slaughtered. And It would be a mockery of our armed forces.
But drafts are part of life sometimes.
That's true. But there's jobs for everyone. You know what I mean? For example, we had a few special individuals that were with us. I love the kid. I'm not going to name drop. Keep in mind, he was a grunt. He was an infantry guy. We were going through a gear inspection, and do you know what NVGs are?
I do.
Night vision goggles. So he had a M4 with a 203 launcher on it. 203 shoots a grenade. He thought the 203 was his NVG holder. So he put his night vision goggles in his 203 that's supposed to hold a grenade. And when he was getting his gear inspected, it fell out. And everyone's like, what's going on? He's like, that's the NVG holder, right? Like, no, bro. No. But that's similar to what would happen to these people. Like, I mean, there's always special ones, and those are not allowed to leave the wire. They're not allowed to go into combat because they ultimately won't pull the trigger. In the Marines especially, if you're in the Marines and you go through a combat situation and you freeze up, or you can't do what needs to be done, you don't last long. You get put in a position where you are cleaning butts out of the sand pit, or you're raking leaves somewhere, or there's special jobs for everyone, and the people that you're talking about will be part of the special crew.
There'd be a lot of them now.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you always need guys to turn big rocks into little rocks, these guys are not going to be in frontline positions. I'm telling you, there's certain jobs for them. We're going to have a lot of cooks. You know, they're going to be put in situations where they're going to either be running the mess halls, or they're going to be...
It's going to be a lot of cooks.
A lot of cooks, yeah.
But there were other guys you were fighting with that were cut from your cloth?
Oh, yeah. I brought up someone earlier with my driver. So, Cervantes. He was a corporal at the time. He's now, I believe he's a gunnery sergeant, still in. I saw this man take an IED hit, and I'm pretty sure his ankle was next to blown off. Get out of the truck and start yelling at everyone to get into a position, set up a cordon. He's on the radio calling in Kazovac for our captain. Keep in mind, he's fucked up. He's bleeding out. He's got shrapnel coming out of his body. Sorry, that's my stress ball. Anyways, Cervantes. Absolute stud. There's certain guys in combat that you try to emulate, and that was one of them for me. Always doing the things that no one wants to do. Setting the example. Just a leader. You see guys like that throughout your time in the military that are absolute studs that you try to emulate yourself after. Cervantes was one of them for me. Always, as I said, we ran patrols in the morning, patrols at night, we sat security. After all that's done, he's outside working on the trucks. He's cleaning the weapons and setting the example for all of us, what we should be doing. Trying to think of someone else that I may be forgetting. But there are guys, there's guys throughout the Marine Corps that are leaders that set the example that to be the Marine that you need to be, you need to emulate. You need to pick things from what they're doing, and you need to do them yourself.
What are the personality traits that a young man needs in order to do what you did? I mean, it's part of it is being a leader, but you also
You need to be humble.
You need to be humble, right?
Humble.
That's what the Marines break you down. And
You don't go into a situation thinking you know everything. When I was in, you saw that a lot with boot officers, new officers. So there's enlisted, and then there's officers. And officers don't go through boot camp like the enlisted guys do. They basically do college, and they do a officer boot camp at Quantico, but it's nowhere near what we do. And they end up getting attached to units like mine, and they kind of go into situations. Some go into situations like they know everything, and it doesn't go well for them. And others, they're smart, they're humble, and they ask the salty corporal or the guy that they see doing shit, running the show, hey, what do I do in this situation? You know, what's supposed to be done when this happens? If you humble yourself and you select the right guy to ask questions, the boys will take care of you. And that means a lot to a salty corporal or a sergeant when an officer says, hey, I see you running the show, brother. What do I do in this situation? Or what can I do here? Be humble. It goes a long way.
All right, Nick. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks, Mark.
Amazing.